Talking about the complexity of race and how it affects policy, society, and basically every aspect of life is not an easy conversation. But a couple of retired gentlemen candidly talk about these issues in their podcast, Chino y Chicano. And they're here now with me, the award-winning storytellers who are also the hosts of the podcast, Matt Chan and Enrique Cerna. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Also, I'm very excited because you're both former King Fivers.
That's right. Yeah, we go way back.
You really you left us?
Yeah.
I was only a king for 11 months.
Really?
Yeah. But he left an indelible mark here. Yeah. So yeah, there was a lot left after he left. And I was here for 15 years.
An evening, right?
Well, I worked at a variety of things.
What did you do?
I came here first as a producer and host and morning show that they had way back when. I filled in on that. I did all sorts of things. I did a little news reporting, sports reporting, documentaries, the whole shebang, and worked on evening.
You got to be a utility player in this industry.
And I actually
that is
did a show
sure.
with Lori Matsukawa called "Celebrate the Differences."
With Mats.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's really exciting to meet our friends who've been here before.
The old guys. Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
He said it. I didn't say it.
No, yeah.
But it is important to look back at our history. And you both have seen a lot working in journalism for so many years. Does your long-term friendship have anything to do with the making of the podcast? And what drove you to open this platform for people to tell their stories?
Yeah.
Well, our friendship drove that because being in this business is tough. Mm-hmm. And through the years, we've stayed connected. We weren't in the same city for a lot of years. And we thought, this is a good forum to talk about our careers, but mainly in a way that people of color talk.
Yeah.
Without any code switching. And also the fact that our friendship, we had that friendship for so long. We both experienced so many. We were also, you got to remember, back in the day, in the late 70s, there weren't many people like us in the business. And so we go through all of that. Actually, the conversation about doing the podcast really started during COVID. Matt and I, along with two other friends who actually used to work at King, Eugene Tagawa, who's worked in graphic arts here, and James Burns, who was a director here. And James was living in Peru, but we would do Friday afternoon Zoom calls just to stay in touch during COVID.
I love it.
And then through that, of course, we talked about everything. And a little profanity here and there as we talked.
I hope so.
But anyway, we just kind of thought, I remember we saying, well, why don't we do a podcast? So one night I gave him a call and I said, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we call it Chino y Chicano? Because he's the Chinese guy and I'm the Chicano, the Mexican guy. And we have opinions. So we decided let's just do a preview and see how it works. And 2.5 years later, here we are.
So obviously, you had these conversations with each other, talking about experiences, whether shared or separate, for years. When you decided to launch this podcast, was there any conversation that still surprised you?
Every conversation surprises us because, one of the things is no matter what the topic is, we try to pick topics that are top of mind, but we want to do it through a lens of people of color. Yeah. And how it affects them and not just the general society, because it does affect people differently. I mean, even the COVID pandemic, it affected communities of color much deeper than white communities. Yeah. And so we wanted to tell that story.
Yeah, we did see that disproportionate effects happening. Having been a journalist for 15 years, I have worked alongside many people of color, and they've shared their experiences with me on how the difference is the words like that you've seen thrown around like token, and I wonder, my question to you is, when you see people coming up now, what is your advice to them?
I think is to be yourself. I mean, that's the thing, and communicate authentically, because, we have to stop code switching. We have to say, we have to speak authentically to who you are, because, we are part of the dominant culture now. I mean, pretty soon, brown people will be outnumbering everyone else. And I think people need to kind of relax and be okay with each other. Yeah. And that's what we try to do.
One of the things that we did too, and when we started, was that we went back to people like us that were, the first people of color in the business. So we did episodes with Lori.
Nice.
Yeah, she was our first one, right?
Right,
First
and
one.
then we also did episodes with Joyce Taylor and Connie Thompson, who worked at Como for a long time. We've also been able to, since I still had a lot of contacts in the community, tap people that are in the news.
Yeah.
We had a quite very open conversation with the President City Council President Deborah Juarez about what she experienced during the protests and how people came to her home and protested, threatened her, all of these things. And as a woman of color, how she felt that, other members of the city council didn't stand with her, but yet tribal people did. So, and she was very forthright about that.
We talked to Bruce Harrell, the mayor, about being biracial.
Right.
That's not a question that comes up, right, in press conferences.
It's not a question that people feel that they can ask, I think, a lot of times, and I like that you are asking those questions. We only have about a minute left, but Matt, I really want to get to just how much you've gone through recently, the resilience. You fought cancer.
I am fighting cancer.
You are fighting cancer, and now you went through COVID. And I believe Enrique asked you a question during the podcast about a bucket list and the importance of that. Where do you feel you're at with that, and why is that such an important, iconic thing to think about?
Like I told Enrique, I don't really have a bucket list because I've had a great life. I mean, I traveled the world, interviewed presidents, and created a hit show, Hoarders. I mean, that's a thing not many people can do. So my bucket list is just spending time with my family and my grandkids because that's what is meaningful to me.
And friendships.
We
have a good friendship, and I think I have to remind him, and we always tell our friends. But I think actually that's the one thing that we built upon in doing this. We have that ability to talk with one another pretty easily, and we hadn't really worked together that much.
No, we never did.
But we have in recent years, and it's flowed pretty easily.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing when you can find that. Quickly before I let you go, how can people find the podcast?
We're available on all of your favorite podcast providers. And
in the broadcast voice, please.
There you go. Yeah, Apple, Google, all of those you can find us, and we also have episodes on YouTube because we do a video version as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this and for leaving something for all of us that is so important. And like you said, stopping that switching around. All right.